What if the first murderer never died? What if his curse was not punishment, but a key to a secret written in plain sight? You are about to enter a forbidden corridor of Scripture where the ground trembles with a truth too dangerous to teach. The Bible does not end Cain's story, it hides it. And tonight you will follow the trail of blood and divine ink to the place where he still walks. If something in you recognizes this tremor of truth, leave a comment and stay with this story until the end. Your reaction tells me to keep opening these doors. The opening is a fracture in reality. You are not reading a myth. You are handling evidence. Genesis chapter 4 concludes with Cain, marked by God, building a city in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Then silence. The page turns, and millennia of tradition assume he died. But the text does not say he died. It says he went out from the presence of the Lord. You stand at the edge of that sentence, feeling the vertigo of an unfinished story. What if going out was not an ending, but a transference? The mark upon Cain, was it a brand of shame or a seal of preservation? Ancient Hebrew whispers with dual meanings. The mark could be a sign of protection, but also a sign of binding, a chain that prevents death. Tonight, you begin a detective story written in divine code. The first clue is the silence itself. Why would Scripture hide a man's death unless his life was the real secret? To understand the crime, you must first witness the world. Picture the dawn after Eden. The air is still thick with the scent of paradise lost, the ground reluctant to yield. Humanity is 2 generations old. Adam and Eve know the weight of mortality. Their sons, Cain and Abel, are the first to inherit a broken earth. But this is not a primitive wasteland. It is a cosmos in miniature, charged with spiritual electricity. Sacrifices rise to heaven. God walks. Communication is direct, visceral. You stand in that field where worship is physical, the smoke of Abel's offering accepted, Cain's rejected. The rejection is not arbitrary, it is a cosmic diagnosis. Cain's heart is already a city of resentment, built on a foundation of comparison. The world before the murder is a world of perfect accountability. Every thought echoes, every action ripples. And in that hyper-real atmosphere, the first jealousy is not a petty emotion. It is a tectonic shift in the soul of creation. Now, pull back the veil. See the architecture. Heaven and earth are not separate realms in this early narrative. They are interlocking chambers. Divine justice is immediate, palpable. The system is built on consequence. Sin crouches at the door. God warns Cain of its desire. This is a spiritual ecosystem with precise laws. The mark God places on Cain is not an afterthought. It is a modification of the system itself. Think of it as a divine algorithm rewritten. The mark alters the rules of engagement between Cain and the world. It is a command to creation: do not touch him. But for what purpose? To preserve him for witness, for judgment, or for something far more unsettling, to install him as a permanent monument to the consequences of rage. You are seeing the blueprint of a mystery. The mark is a lock, and the key is hidden in the geography of his exile. The rupture is not a blow, it is a sigh that devours the world. You are there in the field. Cain speaks to Abel. The Hebrew is chilling. And it came to pass, when they were in the field. There is no weapon named. The violence is intimate, primal. The ground, still cursed from Adam's sin, now drinks its first human blood. It cries out. God's question, "Where is Abel your brother?" is not a request for information. It is a surgical incision into Cain's soul. Cain's reply, "Am I my brother's keeper?" is the birth of existential defiance. This moment fractures the family of man. But look deeper. When God pronounces the curse, Cain does not fear death from God. He fears death from others. "Whoever finds me will kill me," he says. Who are these others? The population of the earth at this point is his parents. His fear implies a knowledge or a prophecy of a populated world where he will be a fugitive. The rupture reveals a hidden timeline, a suppressed history of other beings already walking the earth. The aftermath is a silent scream etched into geography. Cain is cursed from the ground. The very soil he tilled rejects him. He becomes a fugitive and a wanderer. But then the mark, and then the destination. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Nod. The name means wandering. It is not a place on any map. It is a condition, a state of being. You witness the birth of the first Goster man, physically present but spiritually exiled, bound to wander a land that is the mirror of his soul. He builds a city. He fathers a lineage. His descendant, Lamech, boasts of greater violence. The chaos seeded in that field proliferates. But the text never returns to Cain's death. It leaves him in Nod. The silence is deafening. You are left with a man suspended between divine curse and divine protection, building a civilization of the cursed. What happens to a soul that cannot die, but can never return home? The primary testimony is before you, Genesis 4:1-24. Read it not as a story, but as a legal deposition. Exhibit A, verse 14. Cain says, "Surely you have driven me out this day from the face of the ground. I shall be hidden from your face." Hidden, not destroyed. Exhibit B, verse 15. And the Lord set a mark on Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him. The mark is a deterrent for anyone, present and future. Exhibit C, verse 16. Then Cain went out from the presence of the Lord. The verb went out, yatsa, implies a departure, not a termination. The text meticulously records the births and deaths of Adam's line in Genesis 5, but Cain's death is conspicuously absent. This is not an oversight. It is a glaring omission. You are a juror now. The Bible itself presents a case, a man marked, protected, and departed to a land of wandering. The defense rests on a single terrifying premise. If his death isn't recorded, perhaps it never occurred. The court awaits your verdict, but the canon is only the surface. Dive into the hidden testimony. The Book of Jubilees, the Septuagint and ancient Targums amplify the whisper. Some suggest the mark was a horn or a letter on his forehead. Others say Cain was given a dog as a protector. The Apocalypse of Abraham speaks of the race of Cain surviving in a separate realm. Then there is the Zohar, the text of Jewish mysticism, which explodes the narrative. It teaches that Cain's soul was not wholly human. It originated from the serpent and the side of impurity. His marking bound him to a cycle of reincarnation, Gilgul, wandering through history. You are reading the suppressed footnotes of heaven. These texts were banned, burned, labeled heretical. Why? Because they dared to suggest that the first sin did not just produce a corpse, it produced an immortal vessel, a living archive of wrath. The keepers of these scrolls risked everything to pass this torch. Who were they so afraid would see it extinguished? They were the mystics in shadowed rooms, the monks in desert caves, the Kabbalists of Saft, whispering about the Kalipa, the shell of Cain that walks the earth, the Gnostic sects who saw in Cain an enlightened rebel against a false god, the Armenian and Syriac traditions that wove folk tales of an ageless, remorseful wanderer. These keepers understood Cain's story is not about one man. It is a master key to understanding the nature of evil, time, and divine mercy. They preserved the code in parable, in art, in secret manuscripts buried beneath monasteries. You are their heir. The truth survived not in palaces or cathedrals, but in the margins, carried by those who knew some stories are too dangerous for the light and too vital to be left in the dark. Write in the comments what most shook you so far, and share this video with one person who also hungers for more. The chain of testimony must not break. The modern discovery is not a dusty scroll, but a paradigm shift. Scholars like Dr. Michael Heiser point to the divine council worldview of the ancient Hebrews. In this view, Cain's fear of being killed by anyone makes sense if other beings, the sons of God or Nephilim, were already present. Archaeological whispers emerge. Ancient Near Eastern texts speak of legendary long-lived kings and cursed heroes. Geneticists puzzle over anomalous ancient DNA sequences. The bombshell is textual criticism, a re-examination of the Hebrew verb shaved in God's curse. It can be translated not just as will be a wanderer, but as will be restless. It's a state, not a journey. This aligns with the name Nod, restlessness. The evidence converges. Scripture depicts not Cain's end, but his eternal condition. The academic world shies away, labeling it fringe. But you see the pattern. When linguistics, archaeology, and suppressed texts point in one direction, it is no longer speculation. It is a trail. The deeper truth is a theological earthquake. If Cain lives, then God's justice operates on a scale beyond human lifetimes. The mark becomes a sacrament of God's patience, or his unresolved sentence. It challenges the very framework of death as the wage of sin. Was Cain's punishment worse than death? To witness all generations, to see the fruit of his sin bloom through history in war and genocide, to be a living fossil of hatred's origin, you are forced to confront a God whose methods are inscrutable, whose mercy can look like torture. This transforms Cain from a villain into a cosmic tragic figure, a permanent witness to the cost of a single act of rage. His immortality is not a gift, it is the ultimate prison, and if he is alive, then he is a thread still woven into the tapestry of human destiny. What role does a 6,000-year-old conscience play in today's world? This is your calling. You are not a passive listener, you are a searcher. The revelation of Cain's potential immortality is a mirror held up to your own soul. What within you is marked, protected yet wandering? What ancient rage or jealousy have you sealed away, thinking it buried when it is only preserved? The search for Cain is the search for the undying shadow in every human heart. Your spiritual path now forks. One road leads back to comfortable ignorance. The other leads into the land of Nodinto, the restless, questioning, sacred detective work that defines a living faith. To seek Cain is to seek the parts of Scripture and yourself that have been exiled. It is to become a keeper of dangerous truth. Will you take up the mantle? The journey requires you to question everything you were taught about endings, justice, and the nature of a God who might still be speaking to a man he cursed at the dawn of time. The physical traces are elusive, but they exist. The land of Nod has been speculated to be the region of the ancient Levant, or even the vast steppes of Central Asia, places of perpetual migration. Legends from Kurdistan to Tibet speak of an ancient, solitary wanderer. Inscriptions? Consider the Cainite Gnostic texts discovered at Nag Hammadi, physically buried to avoid destruction. Archaeological proof may not be a body but a pattern, the recurring myth of the wandering Jew, the eternal wanderer, across countless cultures. These are not coincidences, they are cultural memories, fossilized echoes of a primordial truth. The city Cain built, named Enoch after his son, is lost to time, or is it? Some researchers point to the enigmatic pre-Diluvian ruins at sites like Göbekli Tepe, monumental structures built by hunter-gatherers, as evidence of a lost early civilization. Could this be the legacy of Cain's exiled lineage? The ground itself holds the memory of the first blood. You are piecing together a jigsaw puzzle where every piece is a continent. Who opposes this truth and why? The answer is institutional inertia. For centuries, a clean theological narrative was necessary. Sin leads to death. Full stop. Cain's unrecorded death was a tidy ellipsis. To suggest he lives unravels systematic theology, challenges doctrines of mortality and final judgment. It introduces a chaotic, ongoing variable into the divine plan. Powerful authorities, church councils, rabbinical assemblies simplified the story to maintain control, to offer a closed system of sin and redemption. Open-ended mysteries are dangerous to power. They inspire personal quests over priestly intercession. The suppression was not a conspiracy of evil men, but a bureaucracy of fear of the unanswered question, fear of a God who leaves threads dangling. The opposition is not a villain. It is the weight of tradition itself, a fortress built on the silence of a single verse. And you are now standing outside its walls with a question that can crack the foundation. Your decision is now. You stand at the border of Nod. Behind you, the mapped world of settled doctrine. Ahead, the restless wilderness of sacred mystery. Will you accept the curated story, or will you follow the whisper into the text's terrifying gaps? This is not about belief in Cain's immortality. It is about your courage to entertain a possibility that re-enchants the world with divine mystery. It is about becoming a seeker in an age of answers. If you choose the wilderness, you choose a faith that is alive, breathing, and dangerously real. You choose to look at the face of every stranger and wonder. You choose to read the Bible not as a manual, but as a mystery novel where you are the detective. The mark is upon you now, the mark of curiosity. What will you do with it? If this journey is opening your eyes, tell me in the comments what changed for you and follow this channel. The next revelation requires a community of the awake. The final unveiling is not a location on a map. It is a revelation of state. The Bible tells us exactly where Cain is. He is in the land of Nod, the realm of wandering. But Nod is not a geography. It is a dimension of existence. East of Eden, forever outside the presence, yet forever preserved by the mark. He is in the restless space between judgment and mercy, between time and eternity. He is the embodied question God asked him, "Where is your brother?" Cain's answer was a lie, but his eternal condition is the true answer. I am still here, and my brother's blood is still crying out. He is alive wherever brother turns against brother. He walks in every act of envy that refuses to die. The secret is not that a historical man named Cain dodged death. It is that the spirit of Cain, the choice to murder and then to live with the consequences, immortal. Your hunt ends here, at the mirror. The Bible's hidden message is a warning and a plea. The first murderer is not in a hidden city. He is in the human heart, and only you can decide if he lives or dies there tonight.